Hello, Christy Rufino here, and I want to share with you what I know about writing a bio, and obviously a dazzling bio, as you can see here. We have two different kind of bios that I want to talk about. One is our professional bio, which is really kind of the standard bio that everybody has. And then we will be diving into what a speaker bio looks like. And if you're sharing your story, if you need to have a bio that is going to get you some speaking engagements, you might want to think about creating your bio specifically for that. So let's go ahead and dive in as I go through the different options. First, for your professional bio, we've got 9 different steps that I want to cover, and I'm not going to list them all right now. I'm going to go into them all individually. So traditionally, the narrative for your professional bio is in third person, and it's written objectively. It's written as if somebody else is writing about you. Now, typically we write our own bios, but you don't want it to be written where people know that it's you. So third person narrative and to be completely objective. We also need different versions of our bio, and definitely we want to stick with third person for the majority of what we're doing. But for some situations, we may want to have a first person narrative for your bio. Occasions like your website or anywhere where you're sharing your story. Your story is something that is definitely personal, and depending on how you're using your bio, you may want to be using the first person narrative, which is told by you about you. Then we want to go into the length. We want to always make sure that we have the right length of bio for the appropriate situation. Now, for me, I have many different lengths of my bios because sometimes I'm submitting information to do a summit or a podcast, and those bios are 100 words or less. Sometimes they're more. And instead of constantly rewriting and writing and tweaking your bio, I have a one-pager that has many versions of my bio. So these are the different lengths that you want to have as like a standard repertoire of your bio. You want a 1-sentence bio, which is typically your elevator pitch or your description of what you do. Just very, very simple, short, 1 sentence. Then you want a 1-paragraph bio. This is where you just basically put this all together in one short paragraph. Then you have a 1-page bio, and this is multiple paragraphs. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit, breaking that down, what that looks like. Your 1-page bio can be more elaborate, but typically more is not always better. And we're going to break into what is necessary for that 1-page bio. All right. So we also want to make sure that we have the basics. I know this seems kind of silly, but sometimes I've seen bios that don't necessarily start with a person's full first name or first name. And so the first thing you want to always start off is your first name. So Christy Rufino, and then we go into the rest of the bio. And then you don't necessarily need to have your full name going forward, and you don't want to leave it out. So typically the good rule of thumb is you're going to want to alternate. So start with your first full name. So Christy Rufino. Then the next sentence, you don't say Christy Rufino did this, Christy Rufino did that. You would just transition to she did this, or her skills are this, or his, of course. And then the next one would be Christy did this, and then she did this. And then you want to alternate between your first name and then the her, his, she, whatever the pronoun is that you want to use to describe you in your bio. Then you want to add the relevant details. And this is really, you want to make sure you have the business experience necessary for where you're using your bio, but Sometimes your bio may have different information based on who you're sending it to. So you don't always have one standard bio you use for every occasion. And so sometimes you may want to be focusing on a different aspect of your business that you're submitting that bio, and then you want to alter that. I know as entrepreneurs, many of us wear many hats. And so, yes, we want some of the basic information in there. But then once we get to our experience, we're going to want to customize and insert the experience that's relevant to that specific usage. Next, we want to make sure we get our personality into it. And really, honestly, I've seen so many basic, boring, dry bios that just has a lot of data that have no personality. And if you can add something witty at the end, just something just cute or quirky that will show a little bit about who you are, it's just going to make you stand out. Maybe you're not even quirky, but then you can add something that is in alignment with you and your personality. Just make sure it's customized. You want to have your contact information, which does not include everything. You want to choose the one best means of connecting with you, and not your email, but a way that somebody can learn more about you. So maybe it's your simple website link. Maybe it's sending people to your Facebook business page, which is your business website on Facebook. Maybe it's to your LinkedIn profile, but you want to be able to have a link, a hyperlink for people to be able to get more information about you if they want to go one step further for you. Just think about it. Your bio could be seen by somebody in a different setting. Maybe not the person you sent it to, maybe they forwarded it to somebody else. And if there isn't a way for people to get a hold of you, then honestly, it's kind of a wasted opportunity. So you want to end it with some sort of good contact information. And then you want to tweak it. Once your bio is done, you want to ask a friend or a peer to review it before you publish it. And finally, once it is perfect, you want to be constantly reviewing it, because your bio is a living document. You will want multiple versions and multiple updates as you evolve as a business professional. So I honestly have a document that's more than just one page. It's basically this bio framework template that has all of the different versions of my bios, and I have it segmented through headings and subheadings. And so it's one page, but as you unfold that subheading of whatever that element of the bio or the example of that bio, then it opens up. I'm not sure if you know that, but on Word, if you make a header or a subheader, you can actually close it so it kind of like collapses underneath that header, and then open it when you need that information underneath it. So it's just a way to organize things very neatly and keep everything all kind of visually able to keep things sorted. And so that's your professional bio. Now I want to get into your speaker bio, because up until the last year or so, I never had a speaker bio. I always had a professional bio, and I didn't really know the difference. But if you're going to be looking to get speaking engagements, there are a few things that you want to tweak with your bio to amp up your credibility factor. Unfortunately, when people are looking to bring in speakers, they're not always as interested in the outcome you provide your clients. They're more interested in your celebrity status. That is really a key piece, because we don't know how good you are until we hear you, and they're not going to hear you if they don't know how famous you are. So you want to build up the famous factor on your bio, or I like to say make it your big deal bio. And it will position you as the go-to expert in your area when you're looking to get speaking engagements. Now, again, speaking does not have to mean to go in front of a stage of 1,000 people. It could be a small audience, or even just getting on a podcast or a summit or any kind of online business event, which are becoming way more or have become way more popular than in-person events. So think about this. It's 3 C's, 3 paragraphs, and your top 3 of the different areas. So you want to amp up your celebrity status, your credibility status, and your connection. These are the 3 different paragraphs that you want to include in your speaker bio. And what I want you to do is take a piece of paper or a document and write celebrity. What we want to do is we want to list out every single celebrity opportunity that you've had the fortune of having. So that would be any media engagements where you could say featured on. Now, we had a great opportunity at one point for our authors to have a quote from their story featured in Inc. magazine. That was amazing. I have a really close friend that used to be a writer for Inc. magazine, and she would feature a quote, and all of those authors could say, without being false, that they were featured in Inc. magazine. Now, it was just a quote, but it was still something that gave them more celebrity, or gave us more celebrity status. So think about any place that you've been published on TV or print, anywhere where in any form of media that you have been featured on. Or who have you worked with? What brand names have you worked with? And brand names would be like clients that you've had that are big brand names. Anything that you past experience have had an association with a brand name. And it may not even be with the current offering that you're sharing right now. Maybe in your corporate world or in the past. I know I did a lot of charity work in the past, or being on boards and nonprofits. And so it's not my focus now, but I have some celebrity status from things I did in the past that I could possibly use. So list out everything you can think of who you've worked with at any point of your career, your professional adult career, or any place you spoke at. And just list out everything that you could possibly think of. So speaking at, it could be online, it could be offline. And, I just want you to just get everything out of your head. So what happens if you don't get it all out is we tend to, in our brain, think, oh, these are the top 3. And without going through that exercise of writing it out, you may be missing something, because the more you write, the more your brain is going to be jogged by other ideas. And so just write everything out. Any place that you can say you were featured on or worked with or spoke at, make the list as long as you can. And then we're going to sort it. And we're going to sort it by the celebrity Starbucks test. So I've been in a 10K program with Jen Koffel and Matt Brawning. And this is Matt's special celebrity Starbucks test. And what you want to do is categorize everybody on all of your lists that we just created. And you want to identify your A list and your B list and your C list celebrities that you have an association with. And your A list are the people, when you walk into a Starbucks anywhere, whether it's in your hometown or if it's in another country, you can walk into that Starbucks and mention that person's name, and the likelihood of at least one person in that Starbucks knowing that person is going to be fairly high. Many of us don't have these A-list celebrities that we can add to our bio, but we may. Just figure out as many people on your list that are at that A-list status. Then we're going to think about the B-listers. These are people who are famous in your particular target market. these are the people where if you go to a conference in your niche, most everybody in the room is going to know who these people are. So identify your B-listers. And then, of course, your C-listers are people that are famous, but they're not super famous. And you know what? That's okay if you only have a couple C-list people on your resume. What happens is as your business ventures start evolving, you're going to be able to be associated with more of these A and B listers, or even seek them out, do something with them. I mean, maybe you are on a summit with somebody pretty famous. You know, you can associate your event with that person. And so the more things that you can do that will allow you to have that credibility status, we want to just explore everything in your past and see what we can come up with. And then what we want to do is take the top 3. So if you have 3 A-listers, that's great. You don't need any B or C listers. Maybe you have 1 A and 2 C, or maybe you have, a B and 2 Cs, whatever it is, you just want to take the top 3 for that very first paragraph that's going to list out your celebrity status. Then you want to talk about your credibility. And this is your education, your certification, your awards, licenses, boards, whatever that looks like, your client results, anything that you have accomplished in your professional career that you want to highlight as a part of the credibility factor for your business. Case studies is a great thing. If you were able, that's basically client results. If you were able to accomplish, XYZ with a certain group of people, add that to your speaker bio in the credibility section. Finally, connection. Connection you want to have be your shortest paragraph, but this is, I feel, sometimes the most critical paragraph to have the right things in it. This is where you're going to want to share a teeny weeny bit of your story. You want people to kind of know a little bit about who you are, what you do, who you help, and the results you provide. What is the passion that you have that you are on this trajectory right now in your business? What is it that you actually do, who you help, and how you create those amazing transformations? So you want to add all of those things down or write them all on a piece of paper, and then choose your top 3 and construct a beautiful paragraph about the connection. And then when you're done, you're going to have 3 paragraphs, and they're all going to be super powerful because you're going to highlight your celebrity, credibility, and connection components in your bio. I also want to mention that not only are you going to want your bio for your chapter in your book or your own book, but there are a lot of different other ways that you're going to need your bio. Of course, your website is a critical place, your about page, or maybe even your media page. I have a speaker page. I also have an about page because that's got more of my story, but I've got a speaker page that has my bios that I personally can copy and paste from that page, or other people can go ahead and snag my bio directly from my website. If you have a book, you're going to want to add it to the back cover or the last page. If you're going to be writing articles or publications or not necessarily your blogs, but for other people, you want to have a short little snippet that would be like the small 1 paragraph bio. Social media profiles, you definitely want to have a little bit of your who you are, what you do in there. If you're going to be speaking at an event, that is a key piece to make sure that I've seen events where there really isn't a lot of information about the speakers. I've seen other events where there's great information about the speakers, but you want to think about possibly having something available for when you're able to speak. And then also doing online things like telesummits, webinars, or being on a podcast. When we have guests on our podcast, I ask for a short introduction, as well as a professional bio that isn't too long, usually about 100 to 150 words. So we can put that on the printed materials, and then I can introduce them with the short intro without putting our listeners to sleep. Again, shorter is most of the time better as long as it contains the right elements. So I'm hoping that helps you really identify the different pieces of what to have in your bio. In the blog post, I will make sure that the link that this video is on should have the blog post that you can see some examples. You can also go to my website and see the example I have there, where I've got different versions of my bio for people to go ahead and copy from, as well as myself. I mean, I go to my website is sometimes an easy way for me to copy and paste that information. So hopefully that's helpful. And I look forward to seeing and reading your bios and seeing how we can kind of keep tweaking them and making them better. So thanks so much, and we will see you soon.